Hey guys, my name is Shai, and this is a pick a star reading, a pick a card based on the star. Card number 1 goes with the red star in the thumbnail. Card number 2 is with that creamy golden yellow star, and card number 3 is the black star. So I will leave this up for a few seconds for those of you who like to take a little bit of time, and I will see you in your reading. All right, card number 1. I gotta say, just tuning into the energy for this reading, I'm getting a headache. Like, that just came on behind my eyes, in my forehead, rather sharp. Not too bad, kind of unpleasant. So I don't know if one of you has a headache or if that's something, symbolic of whatever this is going to be. Let's get the card. Okay, soul star chakra merging with the divine. And I mean, if you can kind of see the art on the camera here, this is a bunch of abstract geometry, but doesn't it look vaguely like a human form, right? That kind of looks like a brain or maybe a third eye, and this would be the head and the throat and then the heart. And, it's all very suggestive of the human form, right? In its abstract kind of way. And very interesting because you guys picked the red star, right? That red energy, making me think of root chakra, right? The red ray, all of that grounded earth stuff, Aries energy. But then here we have almost what might seem to be the exact opposite, but I think that's actually the point here. This soul star chakra, that's the chakra that's above your head, right? And that's where you portal through to your higher self. And that's almost like the exact opposite of the root chakra, which is, all of that physical embodiment. But that's what this is about here, merging with the divine. That is essentially your physical human body merging with your higher self, or vice versa, right? It is your higher self coming down into your body. Not to displace you, because your higher self is you. So this is simply more of your own consciousness, more of your own self coming down into your body. And really, guys, I feel like sometimes we say these things when we're talking our spiritual talk, and it just kind of sounds symbolic, or it sounds like an idea. No, okay, this is serious and this is real. And that's part of what this is, right? With that red ray energy coming in here, and then having the soul star chakra sorry, I'm losing my speech. With the soul star chakra stuff coming in as well, there's a little bit of an element here of it's time to wake up and realize that your spirituality and your spiritual beliefs, they are really real. And this stuff that you think is happening, that you get intuitive impressions of, that you get visions of, that you have dreams of, that it's actually really real. And I know how it is. Right? I know how it is. And it doesn't even really have anything to do with how long you've been walking your spiritual path or how seriously spiritual you are. We could have a whole spectrum of people tuning into this. And it's not exactly about doubt either. I don't really think you guys are. I don't feel like it's a crisis of faith, and I don't think you're doubting. But there's this little bit of a feeling here of all this spiritual stuff, this mystical stuff, this higher dimensional stuff, this starseed stuff, all whatever it is for you, right? There's a little bit of a feeling here of yeah, it's real, but I'll never really encounter it in the physical. Yeah, it's real. I know it's real. I do believe it. And I'm not really having doubts about, my current spiritual beliefs. I'm not in a crisis of faith. It's just I don't really expect it to be real. I don't expect it to actually play out in my human life. There's a little bit of a sense of division. I hear sometimes people use the expression, it's like playing church, where you kind of if you were a churchgoer, it's like going to church on Sunday and being very religious, but then the rest of the week just, hedonism or something, right? Not that in my perspective, right, hedonism is an important part of my spirituality. My spirituality includes hedonism, but that's slightly beside the point. It's where your spirituality, your spiritual experiences, your mystical experiences, your experiences in meditation, your astral projection, your dreams, your light work, your magic, your altar work, your inner work, whatever it is that you do that is spiritual for you. It feels like it's a little bit separated from the rest of your life. Maybe for some of you, part of this is due to the fact that you don't actually know anybody, or maybe not very many people in real life that you can talk to about your spirituality. I know exactly what that is like, guys. I had my, a lot of you watching this already know my story, right? So I won't get all into it. Those of you who are new, you can find my story somewhere else on my channel with lots of videos specifically talking about that. I had almost like an instantaneous spiritual awakening where I went from being an atheist to an awakened starseed, like literally within a minute. Okay. So, and I didn't have anyone in my life that I could talk to about that. And I spent, it was years actually, and still the only person I can talk to that I know physically in person that I can talk to about this stuff is my husband. And there was a gap in time between my awakening and his awakening where I couldn't really tell him all of the stuff I was into. I could kind of, right, but a lot of it would just kind of go over his head, and he wasn't really that interested, even though, he was trying to support me and he was being good about it and all that. You know how it is, right? So a part of it is just that maybe you guys don't have someone else around you that can help you ground your spirituality into your daily life. And that is hard, and that is a challenge. It's not a problem though. It might feel like a problem. It is a challenge, and it is actually part of the initiation of isolation. So if you guys are in kind of a spiritual isolation where you're the only one around you, sure, hopefully you have people online that you connect with. Hopefully at least you have this video, right? And you have other videos, and you have people on social media that you can at least receive that kind of content from, just to kind of, let you know that you're not alone in this, right? That can be so helpful. But if you are isolated, physically speaking, from other spiritual people that are kind of on your wavelength, right? That is just an initiation of isolation, and that period will pass. And just know that there is deep purpose to the fact that you are going through this initiation in isolation. It is very, very powerful. It is like a high priestess initiation. It is part of you walking like you don't need anybody else. You're doing this alone. You're doing this yourself, and it's very, very powerful. But so that aside, let me get back to try and find my way back to the main point. There's a little bit of a divide between your spirituality and your spiritual beliefs and ideas and visions and practices and whatever that is, and your very, very daily physical, practical human life. And that's totally fine. There is like nothing at all ever wrong with having this bit of a divide. I would say that's a phase. And I mean, for some people that phase lasts their entire life. There's nothing wrong with this phase, but there is a next phase that comes after, and you guys are about to experience that, where, and it's so many levels of this, guys, where all of your spiritual stuff and all of your really mundane, material, physical, boring human stuff really merges together, right? Really, really merges together. Example, maybe, okay, so I used to have a daily meditation practice. This was so important for me for a very long time. And then I kind of slowly stopped meditating, and I still meditate once in a while when I feel like I need to, but I kind of stopped meditating because I found that as my spirituality and my physicality merged together, I just started moving about my day in a kind of walking meditation much of the time. Actually, I've recently found myself getting derailed. I've had a kind of weird several months, so I've been trying to get back into the habit of meditating because that helps me kind of close that gap again, right? But so that's just one example, right? So something that used to be a spiritual practice like meditating or going to church, so to speak, it merges together so that it blends and becomes part of your daily moment-to-moment experience, right? And really what this is on a higher level is literally more of your own consciousness spiraling down into your body. your higher self embodying into your body, right? This is embodiment. And this is what I mean. It's like I really am being called here to like really fucking emphasize how real this is, because some of you, there's like this resistance or something, and it's not like a bad resistance. This is where the human mind just sometimes needs a minute to catch up, and it's the human mind. Of course, it doesn't always necessarily entirely whole hog believe all of this stuff, even if your soul believes it and even if you know it's real. Like the mind, is the human mind, and it just is what it is, and that's fine. So I tend to call this type of thing a soul braid experience. So there's at least one person who watching this who has not seen my Starseed Awakening story, and who hasn't seen it and could benefit from watching it, because that's a couple years ago now, but I think I tell the story of my own soul braid experience. So I'll just point you there. If you type it into this search, it should pop up. Just type in Evermind Oracle Starseed Awakening, and you should be able to find it. I'll try to link it if I remember. I'll try really hard. I had this whole thing, right, where I like met an aspect of my higher self, and she came down into my body, and now I am here in my body with the self that was here before, and with more of my higher self, and I've had subsequent experiences. So you can have these insane, crazy, mind-blowing, unbelievable, almost indescribable mystical experiences where you do actually, literally, in all seriousness, believe it is real, bringing more of your higher consciousness into your body. And then here you are, and now you're your higher self in your body, and it is all kinds of weird. There's an adjustment period that goes on there. But the point is, you're not becoming someone else. You're becoming more of your own self. And not really any of yourself is leaving. You're just more of your own self. Higher self merging with the human self. And it's all just self at this point, right? It's all just self. So somebody really needs to know that it's real, okay? It is so real. And it might take the human mind a while to understand that, and that's okay. I just picked up this deck, and the High Priestess was at the bottom, guys. I was talking about how those of you in the initiation of isolation, right? How that is essentially, it's, I sometimes talk about it as walking the priestess path, becoming your own high priestess. It is a reflection of many lifetimes where you were part of some kind of spiritual order of priests or priestesses or witches or shamans, or, some type of organized unit, right? And you would go through these initiations that usually involved literally walking off into the wilderness, into the desert, into the cosmos, whatever it was, on your own. And the initiation being you having to find your own way back. And that was how you passed the test, so to speak. If you found your way back by yourself, then you would have leveled up, then you would have graduated, then you would be welcomed home as a priestess or a priest or a shaman or a witch or whatever it is, right? In this lifetime, it is even more extreme, right? It's not just like a test that your teachers or your gurus send you off on, right? No, it's like your whole life is this test, right? Your whole life is this initiation of solitude, because you are, at least at this time, right, the only person that you know physically who is walking this type of spiritual path, right? You can connect with others like you on the internet, maybe you have one friend who's on the same wavelength as you, right? But really, for the most part, it's this solitary journey. And that is with great, great purpose, right? You chose this because this is the depths of this. I do not have words, right? You guys are just going to have to feel the energy. I am like, it's like rolling through me in absolute waves. It's really a lot here. So that you're also processing all of that energy, right? All of this energy I'm feeling like roll through me in these really deep waves. And it's a really interesting type of energy here. right? You guys can all feel it in your own way. However you sense energy, you are feeling this in your own unique way. It'll be different than how I feel it, but you're feeling the same thing, just in a different way. It's really like deep frequencies, right? Deep frequencies. A lot of the time, the spiritual energy feels like really, really fast, like really, really high pitched and really fast vibrating. And, you know, that's why we say things like high frequency. And it sounds like we mean that high frequency is somehow better than low frequency. But just think of sound, okay? Think of a flute versus a tuba. The flute, faster vibrating sound, very high pitched, higher in frequency. Tuba, very deep sound. It's a bass instrument, right? Very slower moving, slower vibrating, low frequencies. And this is why this is such a big problem. And I do it all the time, right? I always say high frequency just because that's a convenient way to communicate a meaning, right? But at the end of the day, high frequency versus low frequency doesn't make sense in terms of better or worse, because that's like saying that the flute is better than the tuba. That makes zero sense, right? That's completely nonsensical. One is just faster vibrating and is higher pitched. The other is slower vibrating and is deeper and lower in pitch. And what would an orchestra be without the tuba? What would a rock band be without the bass drum and the bass guitar? It would sound like crap, right? It would be really high pitched and like bleh, right? You need the bass. Well, what does your stereo system sound like without the subwoofer? So that's what I'm talking about here. These deep frequencies, it's like the tuba or the bass guitar or the subwoofer. It is the slower moving, deep foundational energy. And that is the energy like of the earth, of the red ray. And it is not low vibe as in negative or unpleasant or undesirable. It is deep frequencies as in bass, right? As in bass frequencies. And that's why it's like so intense. It's like whoom, whoom, whoom. That's how I feel. That's how I feel it coming through my body. Whoom, 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 whoom. So whoever has the headache, right? Yeah, it's like it's really vibrating your body. You know, when you go to a concert, like a you know, big professional concert where they have the big stacks of amplifiers and speakers and all that shit. And you can feel the bass vibrating in your body, vibrating in your chest. I remember when I was 12 and my mom and my friend's mom took us to see Our Lady of Peace. It was the first like real concert I'd ever been to. Maybe I was 13, something like that. And I just remember the first time I felt that bass vibrating in my chest, I was like, whoa, you can really feel it. Whoa, you can really feel it. It like blew me away, right? This is like that, right? This is like that. And it's like the spiritual energy is now hitting you in a newer, deeper physical way. And that is because your higher consciousness is coming down into your body in a newer, deeper, more physical way. And it is so real, guys. It is so real. Three of Wands. You got, this is, I love this Three of Wands, right? You've been there looking up at the stars, wondering, when's it's coming? When's it happening? It's happening now. Okay? It is happening now. And remember that, like, what does now mean? Okay, what does now even mean? My husband said something that I really liked today. I don't remember what we were talking about, but he like had an epiphany moment. He was like, oh, what he was trying to do is he was trying to like use the force to like grab the cup, right? He was trying to be telekinetic. And I haven't seen him do it yet, but you know, I believe that one day he will grab the cup with the force, right? But he was like, oh, I get it now. I get it. He said, you have to move the cup in the past so that it can be in your hand in the present. Right? Or you could say, if you move the cup now, it will be in your hand in the future. So there's that. I'm not going to like do a deep dive into trying to like explicate that. I just wanted to mention that because like, what does now mean, right? Because I say it is here now, right? It is here now. It is here now. It is here energetically now. It is here energetically now. I'm just going to, that's what I'm saying. Six of Cups. This particular Six of Cups is always something because here she is in the sunlight, but looking at this kind of shadowy shadowy past. The moon. So you got the high priestess and the moon. And the star. And the bottom of the deck is this Akashic Records. This then the Emperor was the next one, but I gotta stop somewhere, right? Oh my goodness. So this Akashic Records cards, I mean, yes, it means the Akashic Records. To me, it also is much deeper than that. To me, this is also the void, right? This is like depth consciousness. This is the ether, okay? This is your own Akash. This is the seamless unspeakable, the black velvet. This is like the data of consciousness, okay? The data of consciousness. You are the high priestess, right? Or you can use the seer. Some of you will want to resonate as a seer or a magician. It doesn't really matter the term, right? It's just this energy of the high priestess, of being this powerful spiritual practitioner, right? And this isn't just about how you are this powerful spiritual being at the soul level. This is also you living your life as this walking, talking, breathing, physical channel of divine energy, right? And that's the moon. I always see this particular moon as drawing down the divine, right? Drawing down the moon, drawing down the goddess, being a channel for this. I mean, this is a lot of like feminine energy here, but like the absolutely mind-blowing power of the divine feminine, like Shakti, okay? Like Shakti energy. And the feeling I'm getting from this star card, actually, beyond its normal connotations of, landing and recovering and healing after an upheaval, this is like, it's this feeling of bringing it all together. Like fusion, right? What are stars doing out there in the universe? They're fusing, right? They're fusing together. And no wonder I'm saying that, right? Because this all started talking about, root chakra and soul star chakra, higher self and human self merging together, fusing together. And this is real. We even, did I happen to say Aries energy at the very beginning of this reading? I probably did, because I said red, and that's the Emperor. Emperor is Aries. So I'm gonna bring this Emperor out because that is the grounded aspect here, right? We have all of this liminal energy, if I can call it that, invisible, unseen, mystical, spiritual, and then here is the physical energy. Right? The physical energy, the human energy, even the egoic energy. It's an interesting thing. When you braid your higher consciousness down into your human body, every time you do that, and you can do this, it can become a stream, right? It can become a stream. It doesn't have to be one download and then you stop. You can stream. And that, okay, so some of you are going to have like a really obvious and significant soul braid experience where it's like, what the hell just happened, right? Others of you, it is going to be a more seamless process of essentially just learning to stream your higher consciousness, right? This is the difference between downloading a movie off of a torrent, right? Like going on BitTorrent and downloading a movie and saving the file to your computer and then hitting play, right? And then having a, copy of the file on your hard drive. That would be that's like the soul braid experience. That's the download. And then streaming, I mean, that's loading up Netflix and streaming a video, right? Or literally what you're doing on YouTube right now. You're streaming this video. You're not downloading the video. You're not saving the file. You don't have to do all of that. You can just stream it for when you want it. Of course, you can do both. You can download your higher consciousness and you can stream your higher consciousness, and you can do both, and you can have your own ways of knowing when to do which and all of that. But I just wanted to point out that there can be different ways of doing this, just how there's different ways of getting a video onto your computer or onto your phone. You can download it and keep it, or you can just stream it, right? You can just stream it. And that is how you become There's so many different ways to describe it. I've been using the phrase a walking channel, right? A walking channel to simply be yourself with all of your human weirdness and quirks and idiosyncrasies, and even including your human ego. Your higher consciousness does not actually want to get rid of your human ego. I know in spiritual circles we talk a lot about releasing the ego, and that is very important because there are facets of the human ego that hold us back and that, we do need to release and stuff as we go on our journeys. But that doesn't mean that the human ego in totality, or the human ego, your own personal ego, your own personality in and of itself, it's not meant to be destroyed. It's not bad. It's not meant to go anywhere. It will actually be included. Your higher consciousness is going to wrap your own ego, your own self, your own personality in itself, cocooning it like in a warm, snuggly donut blanket. And that is actually your ego, okay? And this is actually why you've been pruning bits of your ego, why you've maybe walked a long path of ego death and of surrendering the ego and all of that, and pruning and clearing and clarifying your human ego, so that you could actually give your higher consciousness, and by that I mean your own self, so that you could give your own self the gift of your own ego. Imagine that. Imagine your human ego, your human personality. And I mean literally with all of your weirdness and quirks and mistakes and things that you do that you think you don't like, and the bad habits you have, all of those things that you think might be messy and weird and undesirable. No, that's a part of who you are, and they are part of the gift that you give to yourself, to your higher consciousness. How valuable is that? What if you actually came down here and put yourself through all of this whole earth experience in order to grow and curate and become this personality, this character, this ego, this essence, right? So now that your ego is done cooking, right? And it's not really that you had to get rid of the bad parts of your ego before you could give yourself the gift of your own ego. It's that your ego simply had to finish cooking, right? It wasn't done baking. Just imagine baking a cake. Your ego was like some batter, and then it went in the oven, and it's been all baked, and now it's done. And now your higher consciousness and your human consciousness can blend together, and you will have your higher consciousness. You know what? It might feel like braiding in or streaming down more of your higher consciousness. It might feel like you, the human self, is receiving the greater gift here, because, oh my God, finally it's happening. Finally, I am becoming my higher self, right? Finally, my higher consciousness is here, and all these doors are going to open up for me. It might seem like that is the greater gift, but honestly, your higher self would actually disagree with you. And your higher self actually believes that your human self, your human ego, your fallible, silly, weird, quirky, flawed, and mistake-ridden human ego, with your personality, all of your likes and dislikes, and even all of your petty whining, that is the greater gift. Your higher self thinks that it is getting the better deal, because the beauty of your human ego, the beauty of your human consciousness, your human self, your human personality, your human soul, your very humanness, that is the greatest gift you can give to yourself, to the collective, to the universe, to all that is, to God, to Source, to Spirit, right? That is the greatest gift. And I'm going to leave you guys there to ponder that one. So this was incredible. Thank you for that. And I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, card number 2. This goes along with the creamy golden star. The creamy golden star. That's what the color looked like to me. It looked like this creamy gold, and I really like it. So let's see your card. Ooh, the seamless unspeakable, card number 11 with the ether. That's kind of funny. So I know some of you watched the first reading because I literally said the seamless unspeakable in that in that reading, and that's not really a phrase that I often use, but clearly I was picking up on it. So I need some cards with this one. The first reading was so intense, I almost don't even know like where to go from here. Maybe you guys are feeling that on some level. Some of you may have just watched or recently watched the first reading. Some of you might just be feeling that in life. Like, wow, what the hell was that? What do I do now? Where do I go from here? Where do I go from here? What do I do with that? What is even going on? That's the that's the vibe here. Two of Swords. Yeah, so that's when I just laugh because that's exactly how we're feeling, right? This Two of Swords, though, it's really beautiful because we have this priestess kind of standing at this crossroads, right? She's a priestess standing at the crossroads. The High Priestess again. She came out in the last reading, and I was just talking about how she is a priestess here. So yeah, and the High Priestess is Major Arcana number 2. So it's 2, 22. So Master number 22 to go along with Master number 11. Obviously, 11 goes down to 2, if you were to, and the High Priestess, she's using Roman numerals up here. If you can see that, it looks like 11 because it's, I. Two eyes in your head. And this is just, I heard myself say I, right? So then I was thinking of EYE, right? Your two physical eyes in your head. But then I was also thinking of, I and I, like self and self, right? Self and self. Six of Wands. Here we have the self and the self. This card is a perfect mirror, right? So I need to read you this from the book. Because the Six of Wands generally, is about triumph and all of that, but this deck is really deep and wonderful, and she has a really cool message in here. And I don't know what is up with my camera today. I feel like it's not clear as usual. I'll just have to persevere. An illustrious mystic sits beneath a full moon in a caduceus form. This potent serpentine symbol illuminates a balanced wisdom that comes from harmonizing her own yin and yang principles of spirit. Here she holds both aspects as she gathers and anchors her power and energy into a full creative force. Okay, that was so helpful to me. Oh my goodness. So this is the paradox initiation, okay? That is what I have dubbed this because I need shortcuts for myself to understand things. So what do I mean when I say the paradox initiation? You will have heard me talk about this before, many of you, but I'm talking about it again because this kind of thing goes round and round and round, and it takes the human mind many attempts to get it. And I mean, whether we ever entirely get it, I'm not sure. This is when you are rising above, or let me just say, going beyond, you are transcending, you are going beyond black and white thinking. You are going beyond duality-based thinking. You are going beyond polarity. Okay? Your human mind used to go, this is right and that is wrong. It used to ask questions like, which way is correct? Right? What am I supposed to do? Which way will get me to the best outcome? And maybe you kept refining this, and maybe you could like, okay, it's not really about right and wrong, but it's about alignment. And then you would ask questions like, which way is most aligned? Which way is most aligned with my soul? And almost using that as a replacement for right and wrong, right? And just trying to figure out, okay, now I just need to figure out what is most aligned, right? And this is all good. This is all part of the process. This was a very good process for you to be in. You're reaching the next experience beyond all of that, where the most important thing to understand like whenever there is something you're trying to decide, whenever there is something you're trying to figure out, if you're trying to figure out A or B, right or wrong, better or worse, which is correct, what do I do, all of those kind of questions, no, that's not how it is anymore. None of that makes any sense anymore. And the longer you allow, really, and this is about the longer you allow your human mind to spin like that, trying to figure out, what do I do? What is right? What is wrong? Should I go left? Should I go right? What is aligned? The more you allow your human mind to spin like that, you're just going to keep spinning your wheels. It's literally like, when your car gets stuck in the snow and your wheels are just spinning, you can't go any further with that way of thinking. Very important. That way of thinking cannot take you any further. And the longer you entertain the spinning of your wheels by thinking black and white, right or wrong, A or B, this or that, the longer you do that, the more you'll just be spinning. So you can spin as long as you need to spin. That's fine. But you probably don't enjoy that very much, right? So moving beyond that, and this is so profound, because this is the moment where you truly go beyond polarity, okay? You're going beyond polarity. You're like crossing the point over to where, like, imagine there's like a line here, right? And below the line, this is polarity land, where everything is black and white and this or that and right and wrong and crazy and all of the stuff that you know about because you've been on Earth for so long now that now you know all about this mess down here, right? Now you know about polarity, and you know how it is good, and you know how it is part of what needs to be. And there needs to be a place in the universe where we experience polarity because it generates energy and it shows us things with clarity. It separates things apart so that we can see them clearly. And it's like, and it is the dynamic force that creates the perpetual motion of the universe. So polarity is not bad. Polarity is absolutely necessary and fascinating and exciting, and it creates energy and it allows us to see what is, right? But now you're up here, the other side of the horizon. This is unity consciousness, right? It's not polarity consciousness, it's unity consciousness. You could also call it harmony consciousness, right? Harmony consciousness. Because all of the things that were down here in polarity consciousness, they're still up there. Everything is still there. It's all still there. But now it's in harmony, right? And it is in this unity soup, right? And it's just a completely different way of experiencing it and organizing it. And so you're grounding this, right? You're grounding this right now. And you're already doing it with your emotions and your spirituality and your intuition and all of that, where the sticking point is truly the human mind. And this is where you're going to have to spend some time being patient with your mind and start giving your mind new ways of thinking, right? You need to give your mind new ways to think. So for me, how I practice this is every time I find myself going, well, when I start asking the questions of polarity, right? when I start asking this or that, right or wrong, A or B, which way do I go? What do I do? All of those things. I go, stop, stop, hold the presses, stop, right? I have to stop myself from thinking that. Then I go, okay, what would be the harmonious way of rewriting those thoughts? What would be the unity-based way of writing those thoughts? And for me, some of you have heard me say this before, right? This and that. This and that. And, shout out to my friend Rosalie if she's watching this, because she was the one who really helped me understand that, right? Oh my God, she helped me click this in so much. This and that, right? Those of you with like significant Pisces placements, you guys are leading the way on this one, right? Pisces knows about this and that, not this or that, that's polarity. This and that is harmony, that is unity. So it's like there's the whole spiritual like way of this. And I think you guys, you've already got that. You get this on a spiritual level. The hard part is getting this on the human level, because you're still faced with all of the problems of human life, right? Where are you going to go for dinner? Right? Like, what job offer should you accept? Where should you move to, right? We do have these experiences where in our linear human life, we can only pick one thing at a time. At least that's what we think, right? So we think, okay, we start agonizing over the decisions. Which one do I do? What do I do? Which one? This and that, right? This and that. So it's a practice of applying this and that to every way, like every way possible, right? If you're arguing with someone, if you're having a disagreement, a friendly disagreement, a really bad disagreement, it doesn't matter. How can you see that it is this and that? This is what arguments teach us, right? We're trying to figure out how can we see both perspectives here? How can we see that both perspectives can coexist, right? Even if you're thinking, maybe you got two job offers, job A or job B. You can only pick one of them because that's, they conflict. Here's the thing. In some of your timelines, you're going to pick job A. In some of your timelines, you're going to pick job B. This is really important. Like, really understanding that you are living in this multidimensional experience where it's not... This life isn't a one-off. You're not just living this one experience of this one life. This moment is being experienced in multiple timelines. And timelines, that's not even like the best word here. I could go on a whole thing and we could try to figure out like a better way of saying that. But just footnote that I don't think that timeline is the best word here, but I think it will more than serve, right? You guys know what I mean. It gets my point across, and that's why I'm going to use it. So, some timelines you're going to do job A, some timelines you're going to do job B, and some timelines there's a secret job C. And what about all the infinite other timelines, right? So that thinking helps me so much, because I realize, I'm only seeing the tiniest possible sliver of what I actually do in this life, of the breadth of experience that this one life actually has to offer me. Think about all of the other iterations of this life where I do all of those other things, where I lived in a different place, where I had different jobs, where I even had different partners maybe, where like some of my lives being very similar but slightly different, and some of them being completely drastically different. This life, you actually live the full rainbow. You live the full spectrum. It's just that you're only seeing one of them right now. But the thing is, you can tune into some of those other lives, like those other iterations of this one life, right? The other iterations of this one life. You can tune into that, and you can really appreciate. You go, okay, I didn't take that opportunity in this life, but some other iteration of myself did. So cool. I've actually done it all, right? And take this back even to your past lives. You have ideas about what happened in your past lives. Some of them, right? You probably all have at least a little bit of an idea of what happened in at least some of your past lives. Yes, that is all true. And those past lives have also many other iterations. So that past life where you died horribly, There's an iteration of that life where you lived and thrived, right? Really, like this is where you have to start thinking, like everything, right? Everything, all infinite iterations. It's not just this and that. It is this and that 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 and that, right? That's truly how I see our infinite reality, as this everything that could ever be is somewhere, somehow. It is all out there. So when you really just keep allowing yourself, and really this can take years. It took me years, guys. And here's the thing, I know some of you, this is going to click in way faster for you, right? You guys are going to be like leapfrogging over me and leaving me in your dust, because you're going to be able to click into this so much faster. I spent years trying to break my mind open enough so that I could essentially move through this paradox initiation, right? Years and years and years trying to get to the point to even be able to understand these kinds of concepts and be able to ask these kinds of questions. It's not going to take that long for most of you, I don't think. Maybe some of you have already been on this for a while and you're just settling into it now, but really I can feel you guys like rapidly moving through this. Like it's clicking in faster for you. So that is awesome, right? That is awesome. And just keep going with that, right? Like it's a process of like breaking open your mind and just exploring the seamless unspeakable, and apply this concept of this and that and that and that and that, of infinite iterations, of infinite variation eternally. Apply that to anything you can think of, and like on an abstract level, right? And then, okay, let's try to bring this back down. How do you apply that on the human level? I hope that this will make for you your decisions less of a big deal, right? That this takes the pressure off of all your decisions, because you know what? You've done it all. You do it all. It all exists. There's no such thing as a missed opportunity or anything, because it's all done. You do it all. All of it happens in some iteration of your life. So you may as well just go and do whatever you fucking want, right? You don't need to have these big, convoluted, painful, tortured decision-making processes anymore. Just feel for your inspiration, and then allow the inspiration to move into inspired action. And really, guys, with this, the less you think about it, the easier this is going to be. Like there are times, and there will be other readings where I talk about using the mind, right? And reclaiming that kind of energy. And that's fine. And that's great. That's not what this particular thing that you're in right now, this particular moment you're in right now, it's actually about breaking open the mind and breaking the mind down and learning to take action without thought. And that's scary, right? Because you were taught for your entire life to think before you act, and to think everything through, to make a plan, right? To list your steps, to figure out what is the process, and everything is a process. It's follow the instructions, follow the recipe, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not what this is about. Inspired action. So really, the less you think, the more you can do. This is where you're in a moment here where thought and action are opposed to each other. And so I'm actually feeling this boil all the way back down. So thought and action. This is now we have to practice what I was just preaching, right? This and that. this and that, this and that. So thought and action. So for a minute there, I was saying no, stop. Like this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example. See, we have to catch ourselves doing that. Because this card, right, yin and yang, I could say that it's interesting. Because I actually hear in this, I'm actually feeling that the action here is more of yin, more of a feminine principle. Normally we think of action as being masculine oriented, but maybe that needs to change, because I'm really feeling here that the action that we're talking here is like a flow, right? It's this flow, like a river, right? The flowing river, kind of like Cancer energy, right? This flow. And I'm feeling thought as the more masculine principle. So the words I have aren't perfect, but they're what we have to work with. I want you to feel something here. Okay, I want you to feel something. It is the balance between, I'm going to call it the balance between air and water. Okay, air and water. Air being that mental energy, that thought energy, and water being that river, that flow, right? And think about how active water can be and how it can be about flowing forward. So inspired action being this water. So air and water, air and water, air and water, right? Have you ever been white water rafting or done anything like that? Downhill mountain biking, skateboarding, anything like that requires that you surrender to the flow and be very nimble and allow your body to use its instincts. But you also have to be very alert, very aware, and you might have to make quick decisions, quick judgment calls. You also have to use your mind. So you're harmonizing in these kind of sports, right? You're harmonizing the instincts of the body and your willingness to throw yourself off a cliff in some cases and flow through the actions, but you're also, and that requires that you're not overthinking, right? Because if you think too much, then you'll never go. If you think too much, you will trip yourself up and you'll fall and injure yourself. But you need to have your mind be very sharp, very alert, and ready and able to make quick thoughts when necessary, right? So really, I think those kind of like high intensity sports are a fairly good analogy here. That's what life can feel like, right? We've kind of thrown caution to the wind. You're blasting forth, you're riding the river, you're not overthinking, you've surrendered your mind quite a bit because you know that you need to just respond and balance and flow and use your intuition and use your instincts, but your mind is sharp and alert, right? And your mind is ready, willing, and able to come online and interject when it is called for and when it is necessary. And this is this balance, right? This is the feeling of embodying this paradox initiation, embodying the paradox initiation. It's getting those things in balance, the air and the water energy in balance inside of your own body. And you can essentially live your whole life like you're surfing, right? Live your whole life like you're downhill mountain biking, whatever physical analogy works for you, right? That is how you ground the paradox initiation. It is, you actually have to find the sensation that makes sense to you, right? And that's because the sensation matches a state of consciousness. And it is the state of consciousness where your mind is quite quiet, right? It is open and quiet, but it is sharp and alert, and it is making observations, but it is not criticizing and it is not judging, but it is ready to, when necessary, to interject with something, right? Or when called on for a reason, to make some kind of logical calculation or whatever. Can you feel that balance there? Can you feel the balance? It's really a sensation that you will ultimately be able to feel inside of you. And when you can sense that, right? When you can sense the balance of paradox, when you can sense the balance of paradox inside of you, then you can embody it. And when you can live like that, right? When you can live like that, moment to moment as you walk through your human life, that is when you can access an entirely different experience of your reality. So, thank you for those of you who stuck with me through that one. That was very challenging to articulate. So, thank you. And I hope you can feel the vibes. And sending you guys so much love and light. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, card number 3, the Black Star. I'm laughing because if any of you watched the previous 2 readings, sorry, my dog was very excited. If you watched the previous 2 readings, they were super intense. I was actually not at all prepared for this much to come through. And I'm very curious to see what the Black Star is going to come through. Water, the overflow. This is hilarious. So definitely some people are going to have watched all 3 of these because they kind of all run off the other. I was talking about water in the reading number 2, and here we have water here. The overflow. So, I mean, you totally don't need to have watched the previous 2 readings. You can totally just start here. Just I know that some of you will have. So this overflow thing, this is about giving from a place of overflow, okay? Giving from a place of overflow. And I almost overflowed all of my pile of cards all over the place. So, for some of you, if you have ever identified yourself as a people pleaser, or if you have ever been in a long-standing pattern of self-sacrifice, that can include to your friends, your family, your relationships, your work. It could also just be kind of light worker self-sacrifice, right? You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. The self-sacrificing thing. You have come so far on that. I would say you guys know all about that. You don't need me to talk about that or anything. And this is letting you know that now you've done it, right? That you've officially put that behind you. This is like Stella's getting her groove back, okay? And now you will actually be able to enter a much deeper level of service because you clearly want to be of service on a soul level, right? That's just who you are. But now you have also learned how not to self-sacrifice yourself for the sake of service. You're done with that. You are so done with that. And now that you've been taking care of yourself and you have pulled your energy back from others, you have freed yourself from any vampiric relationships or attachments that you had, and now it's like, here you are, your life begins again right now. And now living for yourself allows you, this is the cool part, right? This is the exciting part. You're getting everything that you worked for, right? You have now entered that point in your life where you really fully live for yourself and where you are you have freed yourself from the drains on your energy. And here you are, standing tall, standing sovereign, and living your best life for your own self, which is awesome because you deserve it. And that's what you need to do. And that is what opens the door for your next, deeper, most profound experience of service. But this is an entirely different type of service. This is a type of service that instead, it doesn't take from you because it's service that comes from overflow, and the overflow multiplies. So this is service that instead of depleting you, instead of people just like sucking your energy and sucking your blood, right? No. That was the sacrificial service. Now, this is okay. It's like, imagine you give someone $10 and then you get $20 back. But it's not like you charged them interest. That's not how this works, right? It almost feels like, usury, like, lending money for interest. That is like the shadow of this, right? That's the shadow of this. You are actually, I don't know, guys. It almost feels like you are inventing or like rediscovering, right? It feels like this is how I'm feeling it, okay? I'm just going to say it like I'm feeling it. You are rediscovering, re-implementing, and grounding a type of it's like a type of lending money for profit, but it doesn't cost other people things. It's not at all like, okay, I'm going to lend you $10 and you pay me $20 back. You're not charging them interest. And they're not even having to pay you back. That's the thing. That's the thing about this. It's not like this. It's not like the money lending thing that we know of, okay? It's like you give someone $10 because you have so much money, you just have $10 to give away, right? It's not like you giving someone $10 and you're like, well, shit, now I'm going to have to figure out how to save $10 off of my groceries because I really needed that $10 to buy peanut butter, right? Like, no, that was the self-sacrificial model. This is, you have so much money, you could, as my husband likes to say, he's like, when he feels like he has a lot of money, he says stuff like, I could wipe my ass with $10, right? And honestly, I think he would like to wipe his ass with a $10 bill. I think that would make him feel super rich. That's the kind of guy he is. So you have so much money, you could wipe your ass with $10. So, you just give somebody $10 because what do you care? You have so much money. What is $10 to you, right? And then that somehow, some way, through the chaos of life, $20 comes back to you. And you can't even necessarily track. You can't necessarily say, I spent $10 here and $20 came back to me there. It's just, you are overflowing with $10 bills, and then $20 bills are just coming back to you. And the more $10 bills you give away, the more $20 bills come back at you. Okay. So that is, I think, the simplest visual analogy I can give you. So really, this is about you living your best life for your own self, doing whatever it is that most excites you, most inspires you, most lights you up. And you're just doing it. You're just doing your own thing because you feel like this is what you want to do. And in doing that, you are overflowing, and in completely different ways for everybody, you are somehow being of service to others. But it's like you're not really even aware that you are. I mean, some of you will be very specifically aware of how you are helping others, but it's like, wow, it doesn't even feel like I'm serving others because I'm just so full of energy and I'm just doing the things that I love. So that's just really cool that these people are benefiting from what I'm doing. That is so cool, right? It's so cool that they're just, I'm just managing to help people just by shining my light, right? Living my best life. And the more you overflow this water, it's like you're watering the garden with you're like the water fountain, okay? It's like you're almost like the eternal fountain that is flowing all this water over, watering the earth, and then the crops come from the earth. You are literally the water that waters the garden, that grows the crops, and then the crops bring the harvest, right? Just like gardening, that is a great analogy. Imagine you put the water on the ground, right? You're spraying your water everywhere, and that's really easy for you to do because you're just full of water. You're overflowing, right? You're the fountain overflowing with water. In fact, what would happen to you if your fountain was plugged up? Well, you'd explode, right? So not only does it feel good to flow your water everywhere, you absolutely have to do it because otherwise you will explode, right? Like you don't want to be plugged up. So it's really good. You're like, yes, I feel so relieved. I'm like flowing my water everywhere, right? And it feels really good. And you have to do it. You can't stop it. It is absolutely necessary. And all of that water you flow out everywhere goes into the earth, and then the garden grows and the trees drop their fruit. And then now you have so much more abundance than anything it is that you had overflowed out of you. All of that water that flowed away came back to you in the form of apples and oranges and bananas. And you know what? You can take your apples and oranges, bananas to market and sell them, and then you can use that money to buy other things. It's just this like just fantastical I don't know, like economy, honestly. Let's look at this fantastical economy of energy that is about to just explode around you, and it begins from your overflow. I remember the fated life versus the destined life. This card is about the moment where it switches between feeling like you've been struggling with fate to feeling like, oh my God, finally my destiny is unfolding, right? Fate with its kind of darker connotations sort of, and destiny with this feeling of like, wow, like my destiny has arrived. Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature. And yeah, this is again like the gardening thing, but this is a reminder that this does not come from frenetic work. This overflow does not come from frenetic labor. If you watch the second reading, I talked a lot about like breaking down the mind, opening up the mind, and then getting the mind or the air energy in balance with the water. This is that, right? So your overflow, and here, so a little, just a note here, just file away in the back of your mind. Your overflow doesn't need to be like this constant flood. Some of you, maybe it will be. For others of you, you might be more like a geyser where you kind of gush for like, however long, and then you stop, and then you run dry, but then you spend time in nature. You take your energy back. You do whatever it is you do. You tend to yourself. So this can totally come in like geysers, right? Like a flood, like waves. So if you go through the down periods, the slow periods, just know that is when you're recharging. You're just recharging, right? Recharging. Your waters are refilling before they gush forward and overflow again. So yeah, it doesn't need to be like this constant flood. It'll be completely different for everybody, right? You're all going to have your own rhythm of the flood. The rhythm of the flood is different for each and every one of you. Okay, they're saying stop shuffling those and get these. The only important thing here, like that I really need to emphasize, this reading is going to be shorter than the other ones because just is. The only message here really is you've heard this before. You've heard this so many times before, but have you really allowed yourself to implement and embody this message all the way? Probably held yourself back from it, right? And that message is follow your passion. Follow your passion. Do what brings you the most joy. And here's the thing, guys. Sometimes, and like, yes, I do mean your big cosmic passion and your, material passions in terms of, how you want to make your money and the passion you have towards a partner and all of that. But I even mean like on a day-to-day experience. Sometimes, and this is what I mean about how sometimes there's going to be the dry periods or like the periods where your waters are recharging. Sometimes, what are you most passionate about? Sometimes that might be the only thing I want to do today is get high, order a pizza, and watch Netflix all day, right? Sometimes that might be the thing you want to do most in life. It could be anything. Anything. What is your vice, right? What is your vice? What is the thing that you feel like you shouldn't do, or you feel like it's not spiritual, or you feel like it's too lowbrow or too campy or too cheesy or too embarrassing? It's a guilty pleasure. What are those things for you, right? Different for everybody, but we've all probably got at least one, right? Sometimes if that's really what you feel like doing, that I when I say follow your passion, I even mean that. Okay? I even mean that. If it's like that for a day or for a weekend, or because I know sometimes we get into these long life periods where we might be really just kind of on the couch for years, right? Or we might be really kind of stuck in our vices for years. But I don't think that doesn't apply to you guys right now, right? That's a different conversation, a different story, a different scenario. So I see for you guys, like, and I say vices, I don't really see these things as vices, right? I just see them as like, that's just an easy word I can use, right? So you know what I mean? Indulging in your vice or your guilty pleasure, or just, you might see it as just wasting a day or wasting a weekend. If it's for a day or a weekend here and there, that is sometimes the thing you need to recharge yourself, right? To recharge, to allow the waters to fill you up again. So yeah, that is a big part of this message actually is that it doesn't have to be this constant go, 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 this constant frenetic flow, flow, flow. I think for the vast majority of us, it's going to be a flow and then the ebb and then the flow, gushing like a geyser and overflowing, and like sprinkling, right? Being the sprinklers that water the garden, but then the sprinklers turn off. And then taking your time to kind of just be lazy, indulge in your guilty pleasures, do whatever it is that you need to do to rest, reset, and recharge and take care of yourself. And it is so important that you do that, whatever that is for you. And it's, not all of you have these, like, it's not all going to be like, I don't know. It's just, whatever it is for you, right? Whatever it is for you. I don't need to spend a lot of time like giving examples. You guys know what I mean. Whatever it is for you that you do to rest, reset, and recharge, that is so important that you do that, and that you do it kind of like when you need to, right? Like somewhat consistently, when you need it. Don't let yourself go like months and months and months without having that weekend to yourself, or without having that day off, or without calling in sick and, just going on a road trip or something. Like, I don't know whatever it is, right? Don't let yourself go months and months and months without having this time. And some of you might really need to carve out a weekend for yourself, and you might have to do whatever it is that you need to do in order to get yourself that weekend for rest, reset, and recharge. And if you think that that's impossible, then there's probably like a life lesson, a soul lesson for you to go through there, where you can figure out like, when is it really impossible, and when are you just kind of not willing to do what is necessary to make it possible. And you might have to be challenged to do what is necessary to make it possible, to kind of to do that for yourself. That's like giving a gift to yourself, because you guys, if for those of you that this sub message is for, you would do that for someone else. You would rearrange your entire life. You would call in favors. You would call in sick. You would get childcare. You would pull all the strings and pull all the stops if somebody else needed you for a weekend. So why wouldn't you do it for yourself? Right? So for those of you that feel that getting a weekend to yourself is impossible, it's not that you will have to have a weekend for yourself, but it's an example, right? You guys know what I mean. If you would do it for somebody else, then you might be challenged to do it for yourself, because if you won't do it for yourself, then you won't be able to get to this place of overflow. Right. But I see, you guys are basically, you're already here in this place of overflow. It's a matter of kind of making sure you maintain your ability to keep flowing, to keep overflowing for the rest of your life. Really, this is like you're stabilizing this state of overflow. And by stabilizing, I mean, yes, you will flow and then you will ebb. You will flow and then you will ebb. Allow that cycle to keep going round and round, keep doing it is whatever you need to do to rest, reset, and recharge, and then you're going to be good to go. And my whole point here was that I kind of lost track of was that there is a much deeper level of service here that you will find yourself being called to step up on. And I can tell you, this is resonating for me. I'm going to have I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I'm going to have a big announcement sometime within the next month, I think. Hopefully, it's coming up soon. A big announcement about a new big thing I'm about to do. And for me, that represents my new, deeper level of service. It's like I'm stepping up and doing a new thing, and I'm really excited about it. And you will hear about that. If you're watching this when I post it, right, you should hear about it within a few weeks. I'm gonna do it as soon as I can, basically. And for me, I've had to face some fears, and I've had to stop thinking. I've had to stop thinking and just do it, right? Don't think, just do. So that I can kind of get this new thing going. And I do see its potential to really up-level my capacity to be of service to the human collective and to consciousness. And it comes from this place of overflow. So I know, because we're all on the same bandwidth here, right? We're all on the same wavelength. I've got this thing cooking, and because I've been feeling the call, and it's this challenge I'm flowing up into. Same thing for each and every single one of you. Different thing for everybody. It's like, I'm not even going to start getting into examples about what they could be. Different. So beautifully different and diverse for all of us. But there is going to be a thing, some kind of challenge, some kind of next level experience, some kind of thing you're stepping into. And it's going to feel like kind of stepping out of your comfort zone. It's going to feel like leveling up or moving up or stepping up or becoming a leader, putting yourself out there as a leader or facilitating something, right? It's this stepping up, moving forward type of process. And that thing, whatever it is for you, is of profound levels of service to the collective, which is great for them, and it's great for you because it comes from a place of overflow, and you will receive the return on that, right? You will receive the return on that. Guys, we got card number 1 with the gorilla, the silverback gorilla. The subtext here is peace. Peace. Oh my God, I once had a vision after a meditation I was in a group meditation with a bunch of Hadarians. Some of you might be watching this. We did that a few years ago at this point. At the end of that meditation, I experienced myself as a silverback gorilla sitting on top of a mountain, and somebody had climbed up to the top of the mountain and threw me a banana, and I ate the banana. And I just remember feeling that I was this gorilla, and I wasn't sure what that meant, but I looked up what it means, like what silverback gorilla means as a spirit animal, as like a symbol. Some of you might want to look that up, right? Very profound, beautiful, beautiful energy. And I have not had the gorilla come back around since then. But it's card number 1, right? And I'm talking about these new, deeper levels of your service. It's number 1, right? That's number 1. To seek or negotiate for peace is a position of strength, not weakness. Choose peace rather than war. Strong leaders lead by example. The greatest kind of strength involves restraint. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, I'm going to leave you guys there. Definitely an invitation for some of you to look up silverback gorilla. I'm going to sign off real quick, guys, because my dog wants to go outside. I love you so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.